ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside
Hello, I'm Tony Victor, and you're listening to the Astrological Tarot Report Horoscope for the week of February 17th. And there's actually not a whole lot going on aspect-wise this week. We're kind of looking at a lot of moon aspects, lunar aspects that are created by the planetary movements, but not much else other than on near the end of the week, we do have Mars trine... I'm sorry, I do believe it's, yes, Mars trine Mercury, but we'll get to that later. We're going to be talking about the sun moving into Pisces. That's kind of the main focus of the week, other than our one particular trine that we have. And the energy is still kind of tense. We really haven't left the tenseness of all the previous weeks. It's kind of been accumulating lately, but the sun moving into Pisces will kind of make a shift for us, mostly internally in an emotional way. Our emotional connection to things is going to shift. Definitely in terms of the spiritual world, we'll be looking at the Eight of Cups will be the first, 0 degrees of Pisces. So as soon as it moves into Pisces, the sun will hit that Eight of Cups in our chart movement. And I'm actually going to show you guys a clip of the chart for those that are not familiar with it. You can find it on, depending on which channel you're listening to, on the Quicksilver Astrology channel. You can find it on that YouTube page there. In the videos section, they're archived there. And if you're listening to it on my older site, it's not up there, so you'll have to go to the Quicksilver Astrology one there. And while you're there, please do like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not going to be really probably sharing much of this sort of thing on there. You will see my weekly reports probably for a while. I would eventually like to hopefully switch all the way over to this channel, the Quicksilver Astrology one. If that's what you're listening to now, that's where I'd like to be eventually. So yeah, let's go ahead and start to look at the sun moving into Pisces. Okay, so we'll just start off by saying that it's a really good time to take some time off if you can right now. Both the sun and the Eight of Cups together make for a great time for vacation days. So maybe you call off, or you whatever the case may be. Pisces can also be about illness too, so do be careful about that. With the Eight of Cups, though, it's more to be causal from the exhaustion that we can feel as we shift into this degree here, into the 0 degrees of a Pisces. So on kind of the other hand, it can also be exhaustion from emotional emotional overwhelm. So sun, we're talking about, it can also be related to kids too. So if you have kids, they can emotionally drain you as well. That's another thing. But the sun's also about creativity and interests and hobbies. So now is also a time in which you may find yourself interested in some spiritual topics and, kind of maybe have a spiritual renaissance of your own, in a manner of speaking, with renewed interest in old hobbies that you might have left behind for a while. So you take a vacation, take some time off. Just don't let yourself be emotionally drained. You can, if you don't make use of this time wisely, and do what you need to in order to recuperate. So those are the more important things that I wanted to discuss in terms of the sun transiting into Pisces. We're not going to spend too much more time with that. I would like to cover some other things. However, there's not much else to cover. But we will get into Mercury trine Mars. We'll talk about that real quick. And then I'll also maybe discuss my chart a little bit more too for those that aren't familiar with it. Okay, so Mercury trine Mars, we end up having Mercury at 17 degrees of Pisces and Mars at 17 degrees of Cancer. So let's see what we end up getting for that. Okay, so Mercury at 17 degrees of Pisces is going to end up giving us the Seven of Cups. So you had the Magician as Mercury, and then you also have the Seven of Cups together, which is kind of about evasiveness, stealthiness, hidden things in general. It can also be about making a decision. The Seven of Cups has all these little objects in the different cups all over the cards, and there's many different types of choices that one can make. It can also be about self-indulgence, sin in a way. So it can be rapidly firing through decisions or going through a lot of things, a lot of choices, a lot of different indulgences because Mercury wants to blow through them, as does Mars. So if you're taking a vacation, don't go overboard this week with the new energy of the new sun, the sun moving into Pisces at 0 degrees for your Eight of Cups traveling plans, right? So watch out for that. And then the Mars at 17 degrees of Cancer is going to end up giving us the Ten of Cups. So we're going to look at how this energy plays together here in a moment, but let's just focus on the Ten of Cups now. So the Ten of Cups is about hopes and dreams, the best of all worlds, about family considerations too. But with this combination of cards, it tends to be that the fantasy and reality is kind of a false hopes, false dreams. It can be that too. And yet we have the trine here. So maybe it's what we thought we wanted is no longer what we wanted. That can change a lot too, especially now that the sun is moving into Pisces and our values may change on an emotional level. So we have that energy playing into this week, and being the fact that Mercury now is here entering into this mix into our stage of Pisces. Then at that point, it kind of complicates everything, and all our energy shifts very quickly with the Martial and the Mercurial. So we're kind of all over the place at the end of the week on the 23rd. So very last day of the week on Sunday, we get kind of this boost of energy that it can be good. It can be used for how we want to use it in terms of that swiftness, but it's also playing into what we want. And so having that change really quickly might not be a good thing. How does it change? I don't know. We think that it's not good for us, but the fact that it is a trine, maybe we just don't see that it's good for us yet, whatever changes that's going to take place internally for us. There can be a big shift coming, and we may not see it because Mercury and Mars together will bring it to us very swiftly. And then the Seven of Cups smoke screen, it makes it even tougher to see. Ten of Cups, we hope for the best. We want the best of all worlds, being, in every situation, family, personal, whatever, it's the best of all worlds. It's the Ten of Cups. We're talking about everything pretty much. So it can be difficult for us to figure out what's going to happen, what's going on. So maybe we just can't. We just have to deal with the energy as it comes to us. And I think that there might not be any planning for this type of thing because the change is going to take place is going to be on a very personal level emotionally, and yet it could be for all of us because it's in Pisces and it's not just about us. Okay, and since we haven't really had a long video, I'm going to do a little bit of taking a look at this chart in general, explain a little bit about it. So at the very top left of the chart, you'll see that there's the tarot key for the planets. Also, there's the north and south node I put there just as symbols, but there's no cards that really go with it per se. You might be able to make the argument that it's Capricorn for the south node and Cancer as a north node, but I would not go so far as to use that in the reading. That's arguable at best. So with the moon starting at the top left of the key, that ends up being the tarot key number 2, which is the High Priestess. I'm just going to go over these for those that aren't very familiar with how the tarot ties into astrology. And this is kind of going forward. This is the system that first of all, it's the system I've been using and plan to use going forward. So Mercury is the Magician. That's tarot key number 1. And I'll just keep reading through it. Venus is key number 3. Sun, key number 19. Mars, key number 16, the Tower. And Jupiter is key number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Judgment is Pluto, key number 20. 21 is Saturn, the World. Full 0, Uranus. And Neptune is key 12, the Hanged Man. And so then you have the Ascendant, which is the circle with the line through the middle of it from left to right, horizontal. And then the vertical line through the circle right after that is the midheaven. So the reason I'm going through these now is so that everyone kind of has an idea what it is exactly I'm doing with these charts, because usually all you ever see is the tarot cards themselves on the charts, which is, you can look at the other videos on the site and find the explanation videos. I think there's about 7 or 8 of them in parts as to the system actually and how to use it. So feel free to take a look at those videos and familiarize yourself with the process if you want to know more about it. Other than that, there's a part of fortune there too, but we really don't use that in this charting method. And that's typically just for a person anyways, not really for the horoscope, the weekly horoscope that everyone gets. So then you'll see that there's no indication of angles or anything like that. How I do the angles, the aspects, okay, is I look at a regular chart, and also I get the aspects I look at the aspects that are going to be coming up for the week, and then with the degree placement, that's what you can use this chart for. Okay, so you're going to end up using, you'll see it's not numbered in terms of degrees other than the top of the decads. And the M, E, and P section is the first, second, and third decads, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29. And then 0 degrees starts the next sign, where degree 30 would be if there would be a degree 30, but there's not. It just rolls right over into 0. With that being said, I'm not really going to cover the MEP because that's more of the evolutionary astrology side of things that I do. If you're interested in learning about that and getting a reading on a chart on your evolutionary astrology, I can do one. But that's not what we do in the horoscope, so I'm not going to really talk about that anymore for now. Just you'll see that the minor arcana are listed in terms of all fire signs are top to bottom on the left, and it goes fire, earth, air, water, all in order. And so every sign on the chart, they're all divided into 4 quarters. So each particular column is an element. And then going across from left to right, you see how this system breaks down. You have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it rolls straight across the board, even though we're not going from one sign right into the other in terms of 30 degrees. We are moving in an ordinal fashion from left to right, both vertically and horizontally. So this entire chart is perfectly numbered in its progression. And this came out of the Golden Dawn system. It's not been developed this way until now. I've developed it this way. It didn't exist before this. Not to my knowledge. It maybe somebody has it in a book hidden in a dark closet in the back, in a trunk, locked or not locked, who knows, maybe just thrown away and forgotten somewhere in one of the Golden Dawn orders. I don't know. But to my knowledge, this has not been released yet, and nobody else really knows how to do this. So that's why I'm showing you guys this to see, so you can see how this chart can end up creating an astrology reading. And you'll see that wherever you place a planet, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I place at least a transit on here, so you guys can kind of see how this plays out and how we end up creating a reading. So for Mercury trine Mars, for that particular placement, you'll see on the chart that we have Mercury is going to be placed at 17 degrees. So you look on the chart, top left corner, you'll see the symbol for Mercury, which is tarot key number 1, ends up being the Magician. And so then we use the planet marker, we just draw it in onto the chart, and we'll go ahead and put that on at 17 degrees. So because they're not marked, and later I may change how I do these charts in terms of how the chart itself appears, but for now, we kind of just have to count and make sure that we hit the right one, which would be 3 from the bottom, because the middle dechan, very last number is 3 in the sign of Cancer. So actually, Mars ends up being there, not Mercury. I'm sorry, because we're looking at Cancer now. So where we would end up having Mercury, though, is at the 10 of Cups. And again, I'm saying Mercury when it's actually Mars. Mars is at the 10 of Cups. Apologize if I'm confusing you. But then we'll jump down to Pisces, where Mercury should be. And also it's in the same position because it's creating a trine here. So then we end up having the 7 of Cups. So again, the far right column is all water signs. So that makes things easy. And in every one of these columns, we have that different element. And all the numbers go in a particular direction, and they just start over again. So they all go in order from 2 to 10, and then they start over again. And now we can talk about why there's no aces or court cards. So court cards are people more so than anything. And the aces are not on this chart because they're starting of something new. And all this energy has been going since time immemorial. We really don't know how long this world has been turning and the planets have been spinning. So aces is not really new or fresh for us in the system. Aces does not exist. And that's why we only use 2 and 10. 10 is kind of the start for us in a way, because it's a completion of one cycle and it's going to end up being something else. But yes, there's no aces in the system at all. And if you look at the decans in the way the system is, in the way the Golden Dawn system has created it, they also had used these particular minor arcana, the exact same ones I have, as the starting point for the 0, 10, and 20 degrees of each sign. So if you take a look at that, you'll notice that as compared to the Golden Dawn, those are the same ones they use. However, again, the difference between them and what I'm doing here is I've actually gone ahead and turned this into a system and got each and every single degree down, and now it's a fully usable system. So if you don't know about astrology and you know about tarot, well, now you can do astrology too. So that's kind of the reason I created this, is so it makes life easier for astrology, for tarot readers that want to learn astrology and learn it easier. And you can start to take your time with things and work your way into aspects and other things like I've started to do. And then there's other stuff too. You know, we're not going to look at like a T-square or complex stuff like, a yod, all those things that might pop up in astrology. We're not really looking at those now. I might talk about them in the future depending, but for the most part, you can get a lot of the other information you would normally get by reading a chart. Very advanced astrologers can read things that I wouldn't be able to read in a chart. Okay, I'm not an advanced astrologer. I'm an advanced tarot reader, and but because of that, I can actually read charts like an astrologer would read them. I get my information in a different way, though. The cards show up, and they kind of give me the same information that they might be able to get otherwise through reading their aspects or the houses. It pops up in a chart, especially in a natal chart. You'll see a lot of recurring patterns, and it builds a story with these cards in a much different way than the astrological wheel does. But I know they have their own merits, and they're very usable for what, particular applications, of course. So we can get a lot of the same information though with the tarot, and we can start to build these stories for ourselves and for our clients, our friends, whomever we're doing readings for. This has a lot of good different uses. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you're interested in learning more about the chart, there's some more videos on here where you can kind of understand the system better. If it's of interest to you, I am working on a book that's not out yet. There is another book out called An Arc for a Perilous Time. You can pick that up. It does introduce the system, doesn't get too much in it, but from that you could parse out how to do this system. It just won't give you chart examples. So I'm working on that book now, the one that will show chart examples and go more into depth about the system. Whereas again, Arc for a Perilous Time just gives an introduction to it, and a lot of other material that's related to what's called the Fourth Way System by G.I. Gurdjieff and P.D. Ouspensky. So if you're interested in that, you can look at that material. And it's a very interesting system in terms of the Fourth Way is kind of a collection of other systems in a manner of speaking. Gurdjieff called it kind of the alchemical key. In short, it's a way to understand all other systems. And that actually, through understanding that, I've been able to develop this tarot chart. And really at the heart of this, you'll see on the left side of the chart, instead of degrees, I have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, all that. So there's an octave system that's built into this, that exists in nature, in astrology, and through understanding a system of octaves, that's partially helped me to build this system. And it's especially useful when we're talking evolutionary astrology. And then instead of octaves, well, we still have the octaves, but they're looked at in a different way. It can become the chakras. It can be that too. Movement of energy in the body, the M, E, and P. Now we'll talk about that. I wasn't going to talk about it before, but I'll talk about it now. Mental, emotional, physical. We start at the top with Aries, the head, and work our way down to the feet, Pisces. And so we go from the mental at the top to the most dense, which is the physical. And it works similarly in the Fourth Way, a little bit different, but it's been able to be kind of condensed in a way that still works with it. And we can kind of change things later on if we need to in terms of how we do the readings when we look at more detail. Not that we're really changing anything, we're just kind of really dissecting things, further breaking them down when we look at the evolutionary astrology system that I built into this. But really, it's always existed, and it was there for me to just find it. That's what's really fascinating. It's already in the astrological wheel. Just through your knowledge, you kind of can unlock the system. It's always really been there. All right, but that's all I'm going to talk about for today. We really kind of cracked a big egg at the end, and it's up to you guys to make that omelet. You got to learn about it, and hopefully you get into it, and maybe it'll be a new interest and new hobby for you while Sun is moving into Pisces. All right, see y'all next time. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the conversation going. Ask me questions. See y'all next week.
ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside